Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Brian Leally with the TM Group. And today we're going to walk you through some introduction and highlights of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. And we're going to kind of give you a tour of Business Central as well as the Power Platform and the applications that are integrated with Business Central. Our goal today is to give you some insight as to what's currently available from Microsoft. And so if you're working with your clients or even in your own organization, if you're finding that you're struggling getting data out of your system or just having trouble reporting on different things, we want to show you what's available from Microsoft in today's world. So a little bit about Business Central. Microsoft developed an application in April 2018. Microsoft launched Business Central. Now that doesn't sound like very long ago, but Business Central is actually built upon the functionality of Navision, or formerly known as Navision, but Microsoft NAV, if anyone's familiar with that. And Microsoft NAV is actually one of the widest used applications across the world. So knowing that foundation was very solid and had a great customer base, Microsoft built Business Central on that. So now Business Central, being a full cloud application, gives you all the functionality that you need really to run your organization and have financial view of your organization. So very solid product. And today what we're going to talk about is how that product integrates with the other applications within the Office 365 Power Platform. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of take you through or start with like the day in the life of an Office 365 user, if you will. So, you know, how do we start our day? Typically, we don't just wake up and then go to our keyboard and log into our ERP system, right? That's really not how most people start their day, and nor do we want to, right? We want to be able to just access some information without having to jump through some certain hurdles. So what we're going to do is we're going to start how most people start their day in their calendar, right? So typically we jump in, you know, we might pick up our phone or whatever device we use, and maybe we'll look at our calendar to try to get an idea of what meetings I have scheduled for today, what customer appointments or whatever might be on my schedule. And I might want to look at my email too. So if I've got some email out there, I might want to respond to certain things that might have come in overnight. So let's go ahead and jump into our Outlook here a moment. So I'm going to switch my screen up a little bit, and there we go. So like I mentioned, we're in Outlook here. So this is my Office 365 web Outlook. And you'll notice I do have an email that came in overnight. So right now I'm like, okay, cool. Looks like I got a quote request from one of my customers, right? So Brian Leally, hey, that's a great guy. So I've got a quote request right here in my email. Now, in a normal situation, you'd go, great. When I get into the office, I'll go ahead and take care of that and get that out to him. So, you know, best effort, you know, if I shower and take my trip to the office or whatever, you're looking at least an hour and a half by the time you actually get back to that customer. Well, we're going to change that up a little bit. So with Outlook, we have the ability, and again on the Office 365 platform, talking about the integrations to Business Central, we have the ability from here. So this is my email. He's requesting a quote on a couple items here, gave me the quantity of those items that they would like a quote on. So from here, I can actually go to my Business Central and I can actually start initiating a quote right from here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Sales Quote. We're going to create a new quote right from Outlook. So this is actually logging in to my Business Central. It's creating that connection, so it takes just a second to do that. So this is a live connection, and you'll see what it's doing. So Microsoft built in a lot of artificial intelligence in this. So as it was logging in, it went to that email. It did a couple things here. First of all, it recognized Brian Lealy as a contact for one of my customers, so a customer in the database. And it even went one step further and read through the email and looked to see if there's anything that it could identify that relates to information in our system. And it found that there's a couple items in here, inventory items that we have, and it pulled those in and says, hey, we found some stuff that might be relevant to this quote. Do you want us to go ahead and include those items? And if I scroll over, you'll notice it also picked up the quantity as well. So not only is it making this super fast for me, and again, I'm in my Outlook email. I haven't logged into my ERP solution at all. So I'm here, I'm gonna say, yeah, let's go ahead and bring those items in, and I'll select this, and it's just gonna start creating that quote for me. And notice, it already has a quote number. If I jump over into Business Central right now, we would see that quote, and it's already created in the system. And then from here, again, I'm not done yet. So I've created my quote. If everything is good to go, all I have to do is go ahead and say send by email. I'm gonna send that off. And that is, here's the email going out to that customer. Notice it has a PDF attachment, all set, ready to go. And we are off and running. So it's that simple. I can go ahead and send this email off, and that is now ready to be, and I'll go ahead and kick this off. I'll grab my draft. There it is. Go in here, boom, and I'm going to send this off. So here is the email. It's going to Brian Lealy, boom, send that off. It may reject it. I can't remember if that one goes through or not. But that's as easy as it is. I haven't even gotten my, through my first cup of coffee for the day. I'm already interacting with my customers. I got a quote out to them, and I can do the same thing. So think of salespeople or customer service people that need to respond to their customers if they have an issue. They can go back and forth right through their Outlook without even opening up that Business Central or that ERP application. This tool is so powerful. People just love it, and it just brings that whole availability to the information right to your fingertips within Outlook. So again, using that Office 365 application and Power Platform, we're able to integrate right to the Business Central application right through our Outlook and interact not only with our customers but our vendors as well. We could easily create a purchase order from here as well and send that off to a vendor. So all these things you can do directly from your email from any device that you're using, whether it be a smartphone or a tablet device. So you have those options available to you. Super cool stuff. We really, that's so powerful. Many customers are just real thrilled with that functionality. So again, our goal today is to really, broaden your vision of what's available. So rather than just looking at the one application and, I print my financials from there and that's where I go, we want to kind of expand that vision and show you what's out there and what's available so that, your customers and your organization can take advantage of some of these new tools and new functionality. So super cool. All right, I'm going to jump back. We'll do a brief introduction. As I mentioned, my name is Brian Lealy. I'm a senior ERP consultant, and yeah, senior, it's becoming more real as I've just had another birthday this past weekend. So I'm beyond that senior. I'm a senior plus 1 year. So that's where I'm at. But anyway, again, I'm working with the TM group. My focus, not only doing demos and working and supporting our sales team, but also implementing Business Central and the applications that accompany that as well. So my experience, I've been implementing Microsoft Business Solutions since 1996. So I've got a little bit of a run going there, and just some interesting facts about myself. I'm a EMT and firefighter as well, and then a private pilot, and taking our family around the state of Michigan mainly We were up at Mackinac Island a couple weeks ago, and then we're heading to Beaver Island in 2 weeks. So fun stuff there. And then TM Group, we have been established since 1984, so over 36 years of service. We are Microsoft Certified Gold Partner and Silver CRM Partner. And we've got offices in Farmington Hills, that's our main headquarters, as well as Grand Rapids, and a new acquisition, South Bend, Indiana. So we've got offices in kind of the Midwest area. And our client base, 20 plus states, and that's continuing to grow, of course. And we have a great development staff, so we've got a resource of developers as well as application specialists, so the diverse suite of applications from Microsoft, we pretty much support and can create those for you. So, and just a customer revenue base, you know, we work with small to mid to very large organizations. So we've got some great experience there. So, all right, on with the program here. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to Business Central. So back into my Office 365. So when I first log in, and I'll just show you kind of the Power Platform that I'm talking about. This is kind of a little bit more visual, so this might help demonstrate or show what we're talking about here a little bit more. So when I log into Office 365, all of these applications are available to me. So, you know, we're all familiar with Outlook and Word and Excel, PowerPoint. So all of these tools tightly integrate together and give us not only just our ERP solution, but they broaden the feature set that you can use. So now I can serve out information without actually having everybody log into that ERP solution. And that's really the goal. And the licensing structure is different, right? So if I'm only going to give someone a little bit of information, I can use one of the applications to serve that out. I don't have to buy them a full license to get into our ERP solution and then create a huge security tight hold on them so that they don't get into all the different areas. I can actually create a Power App, and I'll demonstrate one later, that just serves out the specific information that person needs. And then I can create a license for them that's going to be less than what a full user license would be in our ERP system. So they've really created a lot of diversity in how we serve out the data and who has visibility and how much visibility do they need with that application. So there's just a lot of different areas here. So some of the things we're going to talk about today, we've already kind of gone over Outlook and the integration into Business Central. We're going to talk about our Power Apps. We're going to show some Power BI and Power Automate as well. So let me take a brief moment to kind of talk a little bit about each one of these. So Power Automate is a tool that allows us to build in some workflows, for example, like an approval workflow. So let's say I've got a purchase order out there and I've got many people creating purchase orders and I want those to go through an approval process. Well, I can use Power Automate to flow or create a workflow that will direct that purchase order to a manager, and maybe there's a price or a dollar limit that has to go to a specific level of approval. So we can create those types of things with Power Automate. And within the application, there are already some predefined automations, some predefined workflows that we can take advantage of. And another, touching on that note, another thing that Microsoft has really tried very hard to do is to give normal users like me, I am not a programmer, ask anybody you know, or anybody I know. They will tell you, Ryan Lealy is not a programmer. But some of the tools that I'm going to show you today, I was able to create because Microsoft's using this methodology called low code, meaning we aren't going to make you dive into the code. We're going to give you some pieces that you just put together and they will create a coded application for you. So that's the cool part, is now, you know, people like me who don't want to get into the programming of the application can actually build some stuff and make it really cool. So that's what is so exciting about what they're delivering today. So, all right, so Power Automate, workflows, think of those things, approval processes. Power Apps, that's, I mentioned it earlier. If I want to serve out a little bit of information to somebody, I can use a Power App to do that, and I'm going to demonstrate one of those later. Power BI is an additional reporting tool that we can use that gives us functionality and flexibility to create some very visual type dashboards and serve that information out in several different ways. Again, whenever we want to present or give information out without giving people access to our system, we can use these tools that allow us to do so. So that's really the power of all of these applications in the Power Platform. So we will continue on. Here we go to Business Central. All right, so I'm going to jump over to Business Central. I just have all these open here, so it makes it a little more efficient to jump through. So here we are in Business Central, and I can, and back up, I can launch any one of those from here, and that's what I do. I work with the application open, and I can have my Outlook, you know, all the tabs, right? Because that's the cool part about navigating the system. So here I am, I'm logged into Business Central, and I'll just kind of give you a little bit of lay of the land, if you will, on Business Central. So I'm logged in as myself, and I have been assigned the business manager role. So I'm going to click on my settings over here and just kind of show you what comes out of the box with Business Central. Notice my role is business manager. Now, a little bit about the role. The role basically dictates what's going to be presented to me in my dashboard. So whatever you see on my dashboard here is really driven by the role that is assigned to me. Now, we also have another layer below that called permissions and security. So not only can I see certain things based on my role, but I can also create permissions and limit or expand the vision of what I have access to in the system. So it's a multi-level visual as well as security built into the system. So you can see the business manager, and that's really the most inclusive role. So business manager gives me the most of the stuff. But you can see these other roles here. So I've got, you know, my project manager, for example. So if I'm working with jobs, it's going to be focused on that particular set of data. And those are, you know, my jobs would be presented to me in the dashboard and so on. So I've got finance here. I've got an accountant role and a team member role, which is more of a, an employee who's going to enter time and maybe enter some expense reports. So they'll have their very small, limited visibility to certain topics, only things that they really need to be working with. So the role really dictates what's presented to you in your application or in your dashboard. And then if I have a multi-company environment, I could select between the companies that I'm working with. I just have a few companies in here. So whatever company you're logged into, you work within that company, and it's very quick and easy to jump between those. I could even open another tab and actually work between the companies that way as well. And then we have this work date, which is very helpful around this time, right? Month end. Basically, if I have month end over a weekend, this is a typical example, and we come in on Monday and we want to enter some payables for the prior month, I can set my work date, and that's just going to default those transaction dates for that prior month, and I won't mess up posting them in the correct period. So that's very helpful for all of us in the accounting world. So, all right, and then just some language things there and notifications. How do you want to receive notifications? I'll go ahead and close this out. And then up here, you can see we can navigate the different modules or the different menus here. So I've got finance. Here's where I'm going to access my chart of accounts, my general journals, and all my analysis reports. I've got cash management, sales, and purchasing. So think of accounts receivable as sales and purchasing as accounts payable. So that's kind of the little nomenclature difference there. So we have those abilities to jump between the applications up here. One thing I want to jump into is this intelligent cloud insights. Because as I mentioned, Microsoft built in a lot of artificial intelligence in this application, and it's always looking at the data as it's coming in and evaluating what can I present to the user so that they can act on some of this information. So rather than coming in and, you know, logging into the system and having your, I'm going to go do this, I got to pull up this report and then do these things. The new method of working is that we're going to present some information to you that you can act on and start your day that way versus mining the system for the data and then acting on it, right? So we're going to do that mining for you and kind of interpret it. And here's a great example of that. So under the insights area here, you can see that we've got 13 invoices weren't paid by you on time. So this is like an accounts payable. We paid some invoices late. All right, well, we could drill into that. Here's a great example. I've got 13 of my customers that are late with their payments to me. All right, well, this is interesting. I think I want to get a hold of that one, right? So we're going to jump in here. So I drill into that. Here are the invoices presented to me. I can see they're all late because they're red. So that's the indicator that tells me they're past due and ready to be received. So here again is where a customer service rep can take this information and work right down the list. If I'm going to be contacting these customers, I can call them, pull up this information. I can look at the invoice, and what's the first thing that most customers tell us? I never received that invoice. Well, let me take care of that right away for you, sir. So we're going to jump in here. And so here's the invoice. I can go up here and I can email it off this quickly. So one click and it's creating the report, it's creating an email template. It's going to have an attached PDF and I send it off. That email has now, you know, now that customer has it and they can receive it and we can talk about it as we're sitting there on the phone. No longer do I have to, excuse me, print this invoice, scan it in as a PDF, save it off to some directory, go find it in my email and then attach it and send it off. All in one step, we just launch it out to the customer right from there. And what's also cool is as I'm looking at, you'll notice, and this is throughout the system, you'll notice there's a information pane on the side here. So it shows, you know, some information regarding this particular invoice. Here's the due date, here's payment discount date, there's a ledger entry. I can drill into some of this information from here as well. So always presenting a lot of information throughout the screens in Business Central. So that's pretty cool. So again, using this artificial intelligence, as documents start hitting the system, we're building these insights and updating them constantly so that you can continue to work with them instead of, like I mentioned, mining the system for that data and then going back out and doing your thing. Also, there's some KPIs. These are out of the box KPIs, you know, the things that are typically important. You know, what's our cash available, our sales profitability, net income, inventory value. So these are configurable. You can configure some of these to be relevant to your organization. So very cool here. And then we have some Power BI reports presented to us also in the Intelligent Cloud Insights. And whatever reports are available to us through Power BI, I can swap those out or I can change it right from here. So I could go select a different report and whatever is available to my user, I can pick. So I could jump through and pull up a different report if I wanted to right from here. So, and I'll jump into Power BI a little bit more later, but I want to introduce that to you. So these Power BI reports that are available can also be shared on the dashboard, and we're going to jump over there right now and take a look at those. So I'll close out that Intelligent Cloud Insights, and you'll see there's also more information, more insights being presented to me. So when I first log in, it says, hey, good morning, Brian Lee Alley. So that's pretty nice. Maybe no one said that yet this morning. So here we are. And then it scrolls through. So it's, hey, it gives us more information. The best-selling item is the desk. Cool, 33 units sold. So that's pretty cool. And then it will scroll through and, hey, here's your top customer. So these insights, again, are configurable to whatever is important in the organization in which you're working with. So those are very cool too. And you can drill into those as well. So maybe I want to drill into the School of Fine Arts and see what they actually bought and go from there. So, and then we have some quick actions up here. I can initiate some documents right from there. We've got more activities, more tiles. Again, these are active tiles as information's going in the system. These are updated as we go. So always current and always active. So we can configure these two. Notice they're in kind of an order. I've got some sales information here. I've got purchasing. I've got approvals here, payments that are available to process. So, and we'll go scrolling down through more insights and more topics that we have available to us. So in chart of accounts or trial balance, I can put that out there. So these dashboards are very powerful. And again, it's really that launch pad for how do I need to spend my day or where do I need to start my day? And I can come in and maybe we need to review some invoices or some quotes or act on some payables. So we have all of that available to us. So let's, and I'm looking over here. So if you see me looking over here, I got some notes over here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, so cool. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump over. So I want to show you next, I want to show you an integration to another popular application from Microsoft we all know and love, and that is Excel. So our favorite accounting tool, right? All right, so here we are. I'm going to go to our customer list. And with that list, I'll go ahead and open this. Some cool things about the way they create lists in the system. You'll notice I can view it in a list fashion, and maybe I want to look at it a little differently. So we've got this 3 different ways you can view a list, and this is for customers, vendors, items, those types of things. I can go to tall tiles and notice, you know, we made it a little more interactive with, you know, pictures and things like that. Makes it a little bit more fluffy, I guess. I don't, there's got to be a better word for it, but more interactive or human and whatever. But anyway, but what's cool about the tiles is, you know, we can present different information on here. So just by glancing across my customer tiles, I can see who's, you know, who's got what as open invoices, what's their current balance. Maybe I can put a past due on here, those types of things. So in my thing just went kapoots over there. So if I have a long customer list, I can go and make the tiles a little smaller. So it's just kind of a cool way to look at the customers and see them in a different way. And as I mentioned, you know, we've got this information window over here. So whoever, whoever I click on, it updates that information. So without actually drilling in to the customer themselves, I can look at what the current balance is. So just by navigating and clicking on that customer, I can see different things. But what I want to look at and show you today is we're going to go back to that list view, and I can actually close this information pane to give me a little bit more real estate here. Now, one thing that I'm noticing in my customer list is that our location is not populated, right? So I only have 6 customers. This would not be a big deal to go in each one of them and just key it in, right? But most companies don't have just 6 customers, I hope. Anyway, so if I have thousands of customers, that's going to be a pretty big deal. Now I might have to call my IT staff and they'll go into SQL and, you know, hopefully change the right field for me or whatever. But anyway, it turns into a development effort versus just letting the user get in there and do something. So what we can do, I'm going to take this customer list and I'm going to go to page and I'm going to say edit in Excel. Notice I have 2 options. I can open it in Excel, which would basically just dump the data out in Excel, and it's kind of a on its own file that I can do stuff with, which is pretty cool. But I'm going to go ahead and edit in Excel. So I'm going to launch this off and see where my Excel is opening. Maybe it's going to do it. Nope, oh, it's over here. I'll pull it over here in a minute. So Excel's open. I'm going to show you here. All right, so here we are. And I'm going to enable editing. So here's what you'll find. So what it's doing here, you'll notice it's actually creating a connection to my Business Central environment. It's logging in. Notice it's logging in as me, retrieving the data. Very cool. And boom, here's my customer information. It's the same exact stuff I'm seeing up here, right? So all the same stuff. Well, like I said, I want to go ahead and set up that location because we ship to everybody from a specific location. Now I know that I'm looking for my location column, which is right here. So I'm going to type in Maine because that's where our location is, and I'm going to just copy that down. Boom. There we go. So I made those updates. All I have to do now is publish this update, and the publish has been successful. Notice nothing's happened yet, right? I'm just going to hit F5 and refresh my screen on Business Central. Boom. So think of how powerful that is. When we do implementations, we're bringing data in, and this tool gives us complete ease of functionality. Users can export information out, create a huge payroll journal entry. That's always the best example, and publish it back in, and now they've got their journal entry in Business Central. It's that quick, that easy. Now I can go right back here and delete these guys out, republish, and boom, it's pretty much done. I'll go ahead and close that, not gonna save it. And if I hit F5, you'll notice the location gets updated and done. So I just updated, that number of customers. Obviously, if this was 1,000 customers, it would have taken the exact same amount of time. However, I didn't have to call anybody. I didn't have to do anything. Now, what freaks some people out is, oh my gosh, I can't imagine my accounting clerk who I just hired, who doesn't know anything about the system, going in and destroying our data. Good news. This is a permissions-based event, right? So if you have people that you would rather not have that ability, you cannot give them that or take away that permission. So that's the good news. But there are rules that have to be followed, right? Like when I had that customer information open, I couldn't go into Excel and update the dollars, right? I can't update their current balance because it's going to follow the business rules. I could try, but it's going to throw an error to me that says, hey, that's not a field that you can change. Because there's underlying data that makes up those numbers. So there are business rules that are enforced there, but very cool functionality. And like I mentioned, if you're importing, thousands of items or something, that tool right there can save you hours upon hours of time. I know it does for implementations. So, but it is a very cool tool. So love it. All right, and moving on. So we did the, all right, let's go over to a journal, a general journal. So another powerful feature in Business Central is the use of dimensions. So dimensions are, think of it as an attribute to a transaction. So if I want to apply a specific transaction to a specific department in our organization, I can use a dimension to do that. And the benefit of the dimensions is that it keeps our chart of accounts very lean. QuickBooks is a great example of how QuickBooks and Great Plains are great examples of how people use the chart of account to manage departments and locations, those types of things. Well, they add it right to the chart of accounts. And actually, I'm going to jump to our chart of accounts because I think the visual gives a lot more strength. Notice how clean my chart is. It's just, I got one account for each thing. You don't see this account, office supplies plus 4 more office supplies account with different departments associated. Now my chart of account literally grows by the number of departments that I have, by the number of locations that I have. So my chart of account could literally be thousands of rows long, and we've had customers in that position. And then when we transfer over to more of a dimension driven chart of account drops to about 500, because we're not having to fit all of those dimensions, or excuse me, all those departments in the chart itself. It's just a dimension that we put on the transaction. And that gives us the ability later to report on it. So I'll show you how that works. So here's our general journal. I've got an entry kind of staged up here because that's what we do when we're demoing stuff, right? So here we are, we've got my journal entry. So I've got June expenses to my all-in-one office supplies account. So here's my office supplies. I've got 4 different entries for office supplies, and here's the power. So I'm going to my department code. This is a dimension. All right, so here's the differentiator between these transactions. It's like I'm going to account 61400, but I'm going to apply a dimension to it, and I'm going to apply the department dimension. Here are the different departments that I have available. So I can tag this transaction with each department and split it out that way. So now I have a by department ability to report against my budget, right? And again, it's making that chart of accounts super clean. I don't have to add new accounts every time I add a new department or a new location. I would simply go up and add that value as a drop down for my departments. So let's say I added a new department called marketing or something. All I have to do is add that value here, and as soon as I do that, I can start tagging transactions with that marketing department. Super cool. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and post this real quick, and then we'll take a look at the results and how we can report on that in Business Central. And yes, I wanna post this. Here we go. So it's gonna post through, all set there. I'm gonna jump out, and we're gonna go back to the chart of accounts real quick, and we'll take a look at the results of that. I love the chart of accounts in here. A couple highlights. You'll notice we've got some totals. That's a weird thing, right? In the chart of accounts. Why would I have totals in there? Well, it gives you the ability to kind of look at your financials without drilling into your financial reports. So I can create totals, and I've got total assets here, my liabilities, net income. I can also filter. I'm going to close this little pane over here, but I can also filter my chart of accounts, and maybe I want to look at the list by account or income or balance sheet. So all I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and select income statement. Boom. And now I'm only looking at, so I'm filtering this list, and it's just showing me my income statement accounts. Super cool, really easy. And that goes throughout the system. Whenever I want to search for something, so maybe I want to search for supplies, because that's where we just booked this thing. There's my office supplies account, and there's also client supplies. So it's very easy, whether I know the number or whether I know part of the description, I can search for that account in this list. So let's go ahead and drill into that account real quick, and we will take a look at what we've got here. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so 61400 was the account. I'm going to show you the power of the dimension. So here's our balance. Now I could simply drill into the balance and see all the transactions here. So if I click on this, it's going to give me all the transactions. So notice I've got entries for May and June. That's all great, but it doesn't really break it out by department, right? Well, I can do that a different way. Let's look at this account. So I'm going to actually open the account card. Here's again that balance. Now what I can do is I can say, show me the balance by dimension, so by department, if you will. So notice I've got my lines are going to be the GL account, and I'm going to put in my filter for the 61400 account. And then I'm going to just show the date filter. I'll go all out through 12/31. And I tab off that, and it puts those dates in there. So it shows the columns by department. I'm just going to go ahead and say show the matrix. So it creates this, basically it's a pivot table of that account balance. So I can see here's what my sales transactions are, or here's my sales amount, here's my production, and my admin charges for office supplies. So it breaks that account out by those dimensions, creates this pivot table view for me that I can drill into and see what transactions are going there. So think of, analyzing your accounts. This tool makes this so much easier to really drill in and analyze these accounts. And if I'm monitoring a budget for my sales department, I can do that. And maybe I don't even want to put a filter for the account number. I want to look at my whole chart with the department dimensions. So as I'm going through, I can look and just see the visibility of what department has what expenses for the time period that I'm looking at. Very powerful, love that tool. And again, that's the power of the dimensions that allows us to really report on those specific segments of our organization, department-wise, location-wise. And those dimensions are your choice. You define how you want them to report or what you want them to report. So there's really no box that you have to work within in that setting. So cool. We got, wow. Here we go. All right, so that is our chart of count, dimensions, very powerful. We looked at some lists there for customer list, how we can look at those a little bit differently. Very cool stuff. Let's talk a little bit about more some reporting. So I'm gonna go back to my, I'm gonna go over here and from here, so this is cool too, the navigation. I have Power BI open already, but if I'm in Business Central and I want to navigate to one of the other applications, I pull up this menu, the waffle menu as we call it, and I can grab any one of those and open it in a new window, and that's how I open these over here. So I'm going to show you Power BI, and again, this is a tool that integrates with the environment because it pulls a data set over and reports, gives us these great visual reports that we can use for sending out our data and serving this to whoever needs this information. And again, any one of these reports are available back in my dashboard, right in Business Central. So this is just a great example of some interactions with Business Central and with Power BI. We create these great reports. If I want to click on any one of the items within the report itself, so maybe I want to analyze this customer, what piece of this is theirs? If I click on that customer, the highlighted areas are what portion is that customer. So you can interact with these, and then we've got some date slide bars here that we can use and change the reporting periods. I can also bring down a calendar and select the date that way. Very interactive. So this is similar information to what we were seeing presented to us in our dashboard in Business Central, but this is more of a dashboard right in Power BI. And I could send somebody this particular dashboard and they wouldn't be able to drill all the way back to the details of the information because they're kind of, but they're going to have all the data that is built or has built up these reports. So they have a great view of what's going on, but maybe they don't need to get all the way down to the details like some of us do. So this is a great way to present data. And just to show you, I've got another one here that actually, the visualizations, which is how Business Central, or excuse me, how Power BI creates their reports. There's some cool visualizations and they're super easy to use. This one is a great example. I want to find which one has there's one right here. So if you have customers and you're reporting sales, well, we can report on, what area am I really getting the most sales? Where are my most active customers? They have this visualization called a map, and we basically just drop our customer, whether it be the state or zip code or whatever, and it will populate the map accordingly with that information. Super powerful. And then I can click on it. Let's say I want to see Alabama, for example. Well, notice it repaints the whole dashboard based on whatever information I'm selecting in the map itself. This is a powerful tool, especially for our salespeople. Hey, where am I performing best? What items are selling? Those types of things. So the visualizations, and again, this is that, I go back to that low code functionality. These are things that your normal users that can, that are building reports can take advantage of. There's not a bunch of coding behind this. It's all you got to do is drop a field and say zip code, and you use the map for that particular report area, and that's what it gives you. It's so cool and so fun to build reports in Power BI. So, all right, cool. A couple other things. I'm going to jump over to, so with this, with Business Central being a app, right, or a cloud-based application, we have all sorts of functionality. This is my iPhone. I got it right here in front of me. See, you're seeing it on the screen. It's right there. So I'm going to go and show you that Power App that I mentioned. So I pop open this Power App. This is one that I created. Okay, so I've got customer invoices. So maybe I want to just share this information out to maybe one of my sales guys, and he's new, so we're just giving him visibility of our customer list and some other things. So this customer application shows my customer list. Okay, so I can scroll through my customers here, and if I want to select one of the customers, so I just clicked on, which one did I click on? Anyone. Well, I got to click on one that actually has open invoices. So notice when I clicked, I just clicked on Trade Research. This lower pane shows their open invoices, and that is super cool. Now I could take this another level and say, hey, I want to click on the invoice and actually pull up the details of the invoice. I could go to that level. I did not, but we certainly can. Another feature here that I've added in is, hey, this customer needs attention. Well, it's one of the requirements is to make sure that all of our customers have a valid email address, right? Well, this customer does not, so we threw this flag up there that says, hey, needs attention. So maybe I served this out to one of our college interns, and we just said, hey, find any customer that needs attention and update the email address, contact them or whatever. So I can easily go in here, and now I'm in the customer card itself, and I'm going to go ahead and edit. And I can put in an email address, something like that. It doesn't matter. I don't want to make you guys pain through me entering that. Boom. So now I save that. Oh, it didn't like it because I don't have an at something in there. At Gmail, sorry, .com. Done. Done. And it doesn't like it. I don't know what anyway, when that is updated, it goes back and would take away the needs attention flag for us. But this is again, this is an app that I created. And again, it's using that very simple tool set that gives us this kind of functionality for normal users. You don't have to be a programmer to do this stuff, but you can serve out that information from your system with limited, you can limit or restrict what people can update or change, but we can always have visibility to it. I can also put charts and graphs on this thing too. Super cool, just some great functionality there. One other thing I was going to show, I'm going to refresh this. Hopefully it comes alive for me. If not, I'll pull it from here. I'm probably going to do that. So I'm going to go to, I'll go back to my iPhone. Oh, hang on. Last part, hang in there. I'm going to my iPad. So here's my iPad. That one just jumped up. So Business Central also has an app. So how cool is this? I'm going to grab this one. Here's my Business Central app. Now this is super cool. This has almost all the same functionality you would have in your Business Central. So if I'm out on, nobody ever goes to the beach while they're working anymore, right? Working from home, right? One benefit of the new situation. So we can go in here. This is my chart of accounts that I'm scrolling through. We got our office supplies in there as I'm scrolling up. But you can see I've got my chart of accounts. If I wanted to go in and navigate and do a new sales order, I could run financial statements. Notice I've got sales orders, quotes. I could do anything in here. I can add new customers. I've got almost full functionality in Business Central from my favorite device. This is also functional on my iPhone as well. It's a little bit smaller, but all the functionality is there. And on the tablet, it is incredible. I can run reports, I can send emails and all that other functionality that we've showed you today. So super cool stuff. And I know we're getting right down to the wire, so I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. But just as kind of a recap of what we talked about, the Power Platform, right? We start with Office 365 and Business Central being the ERP solution that integrates to all the other Power applications, you know, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI. All those applications are just additional features that we can use and take advantage of when we have that Office 365 platform. So it's just unbelievable what we have available to us. So I just want to say, thank you again for inviting me to share with you guys today. It's been my honor, and from the TM group, we sure appreciate any feedback you guys might be able to give us. And with that, I think we'll turn it back over, unless there are questions, of course.
There are no questions.
No questions. All right. Cool. Thank you so much.